Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 out of 2 games between Player and Włochaty in round 5 of the second European tournament. Today we are going to be seeing Cheux, and on the Allied side, Player has chosen the 1st Pancerna, and on the Axis side, Włochaty has chosen the 12th SS-Panzer. So like I mentioned, we have now moved on to round 5, after I finished casting all of the round 4 games that I chose from that round. Now, I must remind you guys that this is a Swiss style tournament, so nobody gets knocked out in each round. Basically the idea is based upon the points that each player has. They get matched up against each other in order to give a more even matchup as the tournament progresses. But with this tournament, what's also happening is the players with the highest score at the end of round 5 will be put into finals, whereby they will fight it out for 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. So, here we are today anyway on Cheux, and it's interesting to see Włochaty on the 12th SS-Panzer. I'm very curious as to see how he plays this, because generally he has a very infantry-based playstyle, and that isn't something that's necessarily good for the 12th SS-Panzer. If you don't use things like the Boy to Cromwell or just armoured support in general throughout the game, you will find you fall short on infantry due to your Panzer Grenadiers having a lack of veterancy inherently, and also just a general lack of availability. So yeah, that's an interesting choice for me to see Włochaty on, and I want to definitely keep a good eye on that. Over on players' side of things, you do have the 1st Pancerna, and they are very good actually against the 12th SS as long as he can avoid a Boy to Firefly in Phase A. Because he will have things like the Staghounds that are fantastic for dealing with the 20mm autocannon units that the 12th SS usually presents if it does not have the Boy to Firefly at the start. Like, they generally focus on the Panzer II, or Befehl Panzer II, and the 259 half-tracks, which are both 20mm autocannon units. But those aren't necessarily good enough to take on Staghounds. The Staghounds are a great choice, and Player has already placed down 2 of them, which is good to see. The other good thing about the 1st Pancerna is they do have the capability to pin down a Firefly with Hurricanes early on. If you get a couple Hurricanes in Phase A, you can definitely do a lot of work with the 1st Pancerna. Let's have a look at Włochaty's lineup anyway. We do see on the top side it's going to be the Panzer Grenadiers, further down another Panzer Grenadier with the Pak 38 and the Panzergrenadier. Then there's going to be another Panzergren there with the Spaethroop and the 259. Then we have a Panzergrenadier Command and 250-10 with the Panzerschreck. And then at the bottom we have another AT gun, the Command, and a Panzergrenadier in the 251 half-tracks. So, regardless of the fact that he might need armor throughout the game, Włochaty has definitely invested in a lot of infantry at the start. Over on the side of Player, he has infantry for the bottom side, infantry heading towards the town with Command. There is a Staghound backing that up. Then we have 2 units of Strelzy heading to the top side, Staghound heading to the mid with another unit of Strelzy, and then we see an AT gun accompanying a Command unit to the top side with 2 more units of infantry. And I guess that's another way you can deal with a potential Boy to Firefly, is just find an AT ambush. But against a player like Włochaty, I don't think that's going to happen, mainly due to his good use of recon and infantry in games in general, which is why he allows himself to keep his units alive longer. Now, Player has invested in the Ouster early on. That's being fired at by the 259. Probably just shrug that off for the time being. Generally, when these 259s fire at range, they are not very accurate, so it's not really doing too much to that recon aircraft, and it can see pretty much everything that is coming. On the 250-10 here, it's going to take a shot from the Staghound, going to have to back off from that. Panzergrenadier takes a man down, but otherwise we are going to have to just keep an eye on this infantry engagement in general, because Panzergrenadiers, they cost 35 points, right? And Strelzy, they cost 15 points. But both squads have the same amount of men and the same amount of HE at 100 meter range. So technically you could say that the Polish infantry here has twice the value for money when it comes to these 100-meter range engagements. And Włochaty's going to have to manage that very well indeed. Now the Panzer Grenadiers have moved back, but the 259 is going to get involved in this engagement against the Strelzy. Panzer Grenadiers have jumped back in. That's going to get rid of one unit of Strelzy. Nicely managed there by Włochaty, but you can see the Panzer Grenadiers on the bottom side are under pressure. They are being fired upon by multiple Bren guns, as well as the Sten and the Enfield at close range. 250-10 is going to come up and try and get involved, maybe try and take out this command carrier if it can. That would be a nice kill for the 250-10 to get, just remove that support. On the top side, Ulster has revealed the Pak-38 most likely can see the Panzer Grenadiers if it flies right overhead. Boothroop in the mid, they're going to get taken out though, in the face of the Strelzy and the Staghound. That's going to cause a salient in favour of player, but there's a salient on the bottom side as well in favour of Włochaty, where he's brought in that Pak-38 with the Panzergrenadier and the Panzer Grenadiers, which are making quite a bit of ground down there. Now, dependent on whether or not player can push Włochaty out of the town, Włochaty may need to rethink his strategy here. Getting some Panzer Grenadiers sort of behind the town rather than in the town would probably be a lot more efficient, and then start focusing on more armoured play than infantry play. Because I don't really see this working out at the moment, and like this Panzergrenadier, for example, is very close to dying, and when it does die, that's going to remove the veterancy from all these surrounding units. Panzergrenadiers die on the top side. Looks like Panzergrenadier just about managed to finish off some Strelzy there, but this is not ideal for Włochaty currently. He is under a lot of pressure. Pak-38 on the bottom side, that does get pinned down. Looks like that was a Hurricane Mark IV that came in and strafed that. But he is still controlling this ground down here, but player is controlling more, does have the +1 early on. Looks like the command infantry, they've jumped forwards looking for the Piat shot onto the 259. Can they find it? We'll have to wait and see. The 259 does do a lot of damage at close range. It's got the 7 HE on the machine guns, it's got the 9 HE on the 20mm. Panzergrenadier actually saved the day with a smoke grenade. So far, I think Włochaty has been getting great value out of his units considering the circumstances. But this is still player's town to lose, in my opinion. Half-track has now been brought in to back this up. But Włochaty, like, falling into a trap here, trying to reinforce this, in my opinion. There's no way that Panzer Grenadiers should be fighting Strelzy at this range, due to the values that I talked about. Whereas Strelzy's squad costs 15 points and the Grenadiers cost 35. 250-10, that's going to take on the command carrier, try and clean that up finally. 259 also getting involved with the remainder of its 20mm ammunition. Does manage to find the kill. Now, one thing these Panzer Grenadiers are good at is if they can catch out these Strelzy as they're crossing in the open like that, they will do a lot of damage. But you can see these Strelzy, they've moved up. They've actually killed off the Panzerschreck. They killed off the Panzergrenadier. Staghound's just taken out the half-track on the top side, and now these Panzer Guns, they're going to do a runner. 259, that they're going to take on the Strelzy here, and they're going to rip those to shreds. But look at this salient. This is just completely out of control. A player really needs to find a way to get rid of this half-track, which will be the Staghound here, and then get some infantry towards these Panzergrens and so on the bottom side. Elsewhere on the map, I'm surprised to see that there isn't as much pressure. There is the Strelzy's running forwards, but we're not really seeing these carriers go aggressive. And the Cromwell 6 isn't really in a good position to stop this Pak-38 from finding that kill there. One of the Panzer Grenadiers has gone down. Strelzy are trying to be microed so that they avoid the fire of the half-track there, which they have managed to do. Staghound, though, that's getting very aggressive, and player, he's in a commanding position at the moment. +2 on the board with the 58% territory lead. Verbelwind may need to get the hell out of Dodge if a Staghound turns up at its door, because it cannot defend itself. 250-10 is on the way to maybe change that, get a Panzerschreck in there and basically stop the Staghound from making too much ground, but Włochaty's position is very precarious. This Pak-38, it's got to find the kill onto this Staghound, but it doesn't look like it's going to, since he reverses out of the 1,000 meter range. Did find the kill onto the half-track, so reduces a lot of Włochaty's salient here. Infantry still losing out in the town. Strelzy are just going to take complete advantage of the Panzer Grenadiers not being in the building for 2 seconds. And now we see the Hurricane actually coming in with the shots onto the 250-10. So I think, honestly, players done very well so far to gain a good grasp on this game. It's just those Staghounds, they need to get in the face of these Verbal-Winds. Because these Verbal-Winds currently, they can pin down all of this infantry that is more or less unsupported against armoured vehicles. You've got the Cromwell 6 here that might be able to pin down the Verbal-Wind and force it back. But it's going to be the 6-pounder that has to find the kill, otherwise Strelzy go down. Hurricane Mark 4s still being used to strafe, and that is why Włochaty has invested so much in his AA early on. I don't really see a way in which Włochaty can come back strong in this game unless something like a Panzer IV does a lot of work against all of these Staghounds. But nice kill there. Pak 38 cleans up that Staghound. Really, really good job indeed. Nice kill. Panzer Grenadiers on the top. They're not lasting too long. Under fire from the Universal Carrier and the Strelzy. And they're going to be pinned. They're going to get surrendered. More ground goes in favour of player once again. He's got the +2. Cromwell 6. That's now fire positioning towards the Verbal-Wind. Maybe to force the Verbal-Wind into the line of sight of the 6-pounder. It looks like it's going to happen. Will the 6-pounder find the kill? It should do. Track wheel destroyed. There we go. Job done. That's going to be a dead Verbal-Wind. Very nice indeed. On the bottom side here, Panzer Grenadiers, they're falling back. Strelzy getting the better of them. Player's doing a fantastic job here. Strelzy taking on the Panzer Grenadiers. Again, this Polish infantry is just really outclassing the Panzer Grenadiers at close range. And that is something that Włochaty can't really deal with. He has managed to get far enough back that he can get the machine guns on target onto this infantry squad. So gets a little bit of a salient back on the bottom side, but still a +2 in favour of player. And he is in a commanding position across this map. And with the 70 points per minute that Włochaty is working with, I'm not sure that he'll really be able to reinforce himself fast enough to stop this from becoming a big issue. And when we move into phase B, he will be able to get things to counter the Staghound that are a lot cheaper, like Panzer IVs, like I already mentioned. But it just depends, really, whether or not Włochaty can make that happen. On this top side, Universal Carrier is getting a bit ahead of itself. 251 just sits still, finds a kill onto that with its machine gun. 250-10's trying to get that engagement with the Staghound at close range, but couldn't quite find it. Up on this top side, Panzergrenadier have been found. The Cromwell 6 didn't kill the Pak 38, it just fell back, but the Panzergrenadier got left behind, so they're now going to be strafed by this Hurricane. Potential here for the Strelzy to get the better of them. Panzergrenadiers in the mid are going to get pinned down by the Hurricane as well. So with that Verbal-Wind dead on the top side, this infantry can be pinned down very easily by Hurricanes, and it's good to see a player making great use of those. Spearthroop on the top side, they're going to reveal the Strelzy here, but I doubt they're going to be able to kill the Strelzy, especially with the Cromwell coming in with the fire support from a distance. So now Włochaty is going to invest in a 2-3-2, some Sturm Pioneers, and some more Panzergrens as we move into phase B. On the top side, Panzertrek's under threat again, because we can see that the infantry that was here, the Spearthroop with the half-track, they were killed and surrendered. That Panzertrek has been picked up again though, so it's going to try and move away, but with the pin from the Hurricane, that will force unload the Panzertrek. 259. Going to try and get involved with those Hurricanes, but really not going to do too much. I've never seen Włochaty been put on the back foot so much as he has in this game. But I can't help but feel it's because he chose the wrong strategy with a division that can't really support the strategy. that he chose. Panzergrenführer, they're going to get taken out by the Stasi here. Most likely. If not, then the Zuidowski can get involved and kill them off. Yeah, it looks like the Panzergrenführer actually won out there, probably due to their veterancy more than anything. Oh, this is a strong attack though. 232 getting nice and close to these stag hounds. Should be able to do a lot of damage actually, because these stag hounds have 5 armor. But at this range, the SBW 232s pushing about 7 AP. And with the fire rate on that gun, it will be able to do a lot of damage if it continues to hit. The Sturm Pioneers, they're getting up close and personal with the Stasi. Panzer Grenadiers, they managed to get the Panzerfaust onto the Stag Hound. 232, forcing back this Stag Hound on the top side. Things still not going very well. But this Stag Hound kill down here is very important. And if he can find the kill onto the second one, things just get better, because then you take out the third. And this infantry is completely unsupported. You can take back the town and really start to put pressure into the middle of the map, because there will be no armoured support there on the side of player. So this is potential for a comeback, I feel. Wirbelwind now moving up to support that, prevent any hurricanes from changing what's going on that top side. Universal going to come up here, engage the Panzergrenführer with the help of the Zuidowski. More infantry is on its way. Włochaty adamant that he can take this town back off player. But player is now sitting on a +3 with victory condition in 7 minutes and 15 seconds. I really do think that this is player's game to lose. I'd like to see a Cromwell on the field, honestly, because he needs something that will challenge the AP units of Włochaty, because otherwise he's going to be left with just stag hounds, and they're not going to be able to get the job done, especially moving into Phase B, where Włochaty can get some pretty scary units. For example, this Jagdpanzer IV. Now this Jagdpanzer IV has come in on the top side, but I'm not sure how much ground it's actually going to make. I'd like to see player put this on return fire, this 6-pounder, because there's no way that 6-pounder is going to be able to penetrate the Jagdpanzer from max range. Not in the front armor, at least. Pioneers have now arrived, and this certainly changes the game in the town. Pack 38, can it find the kill onto the Staghound? It's currently under fire from the Stasi, but going to get smoked off by the Panzergrenführer. Wow, was that the Wirbelwind came in there and claimed the kill onto the Staghound? Really nice job. Looks like that half-track though, that was surrendered. Staghound going to go for the shots onto the 250-10, but this is an engagement we're going to have to watch out for. The Superzi already being pinned down. Pioneers haven't taken too much damage, so they will be able to press in quite aggressively to enemy infantry here. 6-pounder on the top side was not put on return fire. The Jagdpanzer takes that out. We now see the Sturm Pioneers coming in to challenge the Strelzy. They're not supported by anything currently, so the Sturm Pioneers should be able to get close. 17-pounder though, that's creeping into the tree line here, looking for the kill onto the Jagdpanzer, I would suspect. Now above the town, 250-10 Staghound engagement continues, but meanwhile in the town it looks like the Superzi still falling back. The command infantry had the church they were in destroyed, so they've had to fall back, but there goes the half-track of Włochaty's, and in place, player loses his universal carrier. Now Hurricanes have come in on the bottom side. They do manage to kill off the command infantry that was accompanying these Panzergrens, but the Panzergrens are barely pinned at all, so the Strelzy will probably lose out there. 17-pounder has now got involved with the Jagdpanzer IV. Needs to find the kill as soon as possible, especially before things like the Wirbelwind and this half-track get involved, because otherwise the 17-pounder is going to find itself pinned down, and then the Jagdpanzer can quite simply kill that off. Sturm Pioneer does take out the Strelzy up there. Look at all these Hurricanes on the bottom side though. They are trying to get rid of the Panzer Grenadiers, but they did not do it in time. The Strelzy actually died. +2 still for player though, and time is running out for Włochaty. He is building up a strong amount of forces though, especially on this top side. He's looking for a pushback, that's for sure. If he can find his way through the 17-pounder, he could probably fast move his way towards this next 6-pounder, and that would be his next challenge. But yeah, taking out the 17-pounder first step, take out the 6-pounder second step, then he can pretty much just drive all the way through, because the rest of the infantry there is of no consequence. Panzer Grenadiers, they're going to try and take on the Superzi. Superzi getting in range with their flamethrowers, though. Sturm Pioneers actually fire first, though. And the Superzi, well, they're going to be forced to fall back. So really, really nice job there by włochaty's Sturm Pioneers. They've actually ran out almost of flamethrower ammunition, though. So that may not last for much longer. Especially with the new Superzi squad coming in favour of Player. Player's got his own tricks up his sleeve, just like włochaty had the Pioneers. Now Pioneers, they're going to move up. They've got the grenade off into the Superzi. Has Player noticed? I don't think he has. Or maybe he did. It's just a little bit too late there on the movement. And now the Superzi going to find themselves pinned down. On the top side, Cromwell 6. That's currently engaging the Pak 38. Going to try and kill that off. Look at this, 17 pound has gone down. Yes, it looks like it weapon jammed the Wirbelwind, but the first shot seemed to have gone onto the half track there. So Wirbelwind survives for now. +1 now for Player. On the bottom side of the town, M5 half tracks. They're going to pin down these Pioneers, and this Panzer Grenadier is not in a good spot. Going to have to keep itself hidden, because if this one dies, then all this land that włochaty has on the bottom side of the town will disappear. Nice kill on the Staghound, though, takes out the 250-10. But włochaty recovering this well into the game here is crazy. I think włochaty's done a fantastic job of recovering. Now he just needs to clean up the 6-pounder, like I mentioned, and he can completely control the top side of this map, especially being the 12th SS-Panzer. He can bring in some really decent armor in the late game to help him out. Panzergrens, though, they're not doing too well. Especially in the face of the Superzi, they're going to actually get surrendered. Pioneers here, they don't have any more ammunition on their grenades, so the Superzi have the upper hand on those. And there goes the Panzer Grenadiers on the bottom side. Slowly but surely, włochaty is losing his infantry in this town. And he isn't really reinforcing it very quickly. He does have some Sturm Pioneers here, but it looks like they're waiting for the support of the Befehlspanzer IV, because otherwise the Staghound will just kill the half-track before they unload. Now those Panzergrens, nice strafing run by the Hurricane Mark IV, allows the Strelzy to surrender those. But I think one thing that Player's done very, very well is he's used the Strelzy to counter the Panzergrens perfectly, for the most part, keeping them in that close range environment that the Panzergrens just don't deal well with. Then Pioneers, they're going to get taken up by the Superzi eventually. Pioneers trying to get involved. They're currently being pinned by the Strelzy, though. The Bren gun getting on top of those. Superzi, they're going to clean up that Pioneer squad, find the surrender. Nice job indeed. +2 still for Player. 4 minutes and 55 seconds until his victory. Pioneers get surrendered on the bottom side as well. Just all this infantry isn't holding up very well, especially without the support of włochaty's Panzer IV. It is finally coming in, but it's taken its sweet time to get to the front line, and now it's going to be looking for the shot onto the Staghound. What would be absolutely devastating is if Player managed to kill this Panzer IV, because then that would cut off any way for włochaty to challenge the town once again. But these Superzi squads, they certainly managed to bring back the town in Player's favour, so nice job there by Player. Panzer IV going to go for the clean-up onto the Strelzy there, as they open up towards the Panzerek. Panzerek's going to push towards the Staghound, but I don't think he realises that the Strelzy are in the way. On the top side, recon aircraft still flying about because the Wirbelwind is not fixed up. It is now. Panzer IV going to engage those Strelzy. So Strelzy, they've been forced back. The Panzerschreck did get killed though, so the Staghound doesn't have to worry as much. But if these Panzergrens get close enough, then the Staghound will end up dying. The Perzi, are they going to open up onto the Pioneers? They had it ready and they managed to pin them. Can the one man surrender an entire squad of Pioneers? He can. Crazy stuff. Half track goes down to the Staghound. Really, really nice plays here from Player. Like, allowing that Superzi to take out the infantry is just so damn important, because it takes away one piece of the puzzle that włochaty needed to take this town. Like, the Pioneers are just very similar to, like, the Sturm Pioneers, in that they can really do well at the 100-meter range. The Persi here, though, they're going to take on the Sturm Pioneers. They both managed to fire each way, but an ammo storage hit there onto the Panzer IV is crucial to stop the Panzer IV from firing at the Staghound. What an ammo storage hit does is it resets the aim of the unit that takes the critical. But player has just absolutely annihilated this push out of Włochaty. Now he's just got to hold on the top side as the Jagdpanzer and the SBW-232 are putting on a lot of pressure. Panzer Grenadiers, they're going to engage this 6-pounder if they get close enough, but it seems as though they're being pinned at the moment. No recon there to see them at the moment though, otherwise the Bofors would be opening up. 6 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. Can player hold on? Because it seems as though Włochaty is putting on a lot of pressure right now. The Tiger E now coming in on the bottom side of the town to engage as well. It's a good support vehicle, but whether or not it will actually get the job done remains to be seen, especially with the Sturm Pioneers being pinned and the Panzer Grenadier falling back as well. Now, apologies for my dog flapping her ears about. You can probably hear that in the background, but either way, let's continue. Tiger E, can it do any work here? I doubt it can, because the Sherman 5, as long as it's kept in the center of the town, will always be a threat to a Tiger at close range. And so the Tiger won't be able to make its way through the town and support infantry, or at least even around the town, because it's potential for side shots. Firefly's now on the scene as well. That one-shots the Wirbelwind there. The Panzer Grenadiers, they're going to find themselves pinned down. 17-pounder is in line of sight of the Jagdpanzer IV. That Jagdpanzer is transmission damaged. It's having a trouble getting out of line of sight because it's taking so damn long. Hurricane Mark IVs come in just to do a little bit more damage to those Panzergrens. Me-109 G6R6 is coming in to reply against the Hurricane Mark IVs, but we'll have to utilize AA somewhere, and there is none left currently because both of the Wirbelwinds have been killed. This Jagdpanzer is completely out of commission for the time being. I don't think that Włochaty is going to be making too much ground anytime soon, especially with the Hurricane support coming back in. It's going to be engaging the Panzer IV, allows the Staghound to come out of cover. Can it get the job done? It's currently firing at the reinforcing half-tracks as they come up the road, but a kill onto this Panzer IV would be really, really nice, and player goes ahead and finds it. Sturm Pioneers, will they move into the town and get some work done? I think they will probably be able to take out this Superzi squad, but whether or not they can take out the second one remains to be seen, because that has 10 men still. Pack 38 in the middle, that's going to get strafed by the Hurricane Mark IVs, and these Hurricanes, they just haven't been shot down throughout the game, so they just can't really get the job done. Okay, so Sturm Pioneers, they're making some ground. The Tiger E is getting involved with the Superzi. The half-tracks, they're pushing really, really hard, but here comes the off-map. This is really, really nicely placed because it can pin down both the Panzer Grenadiers and also start pinning the Tiger E as well. So although the half-tracks do seem to be making some ground here, it doesn't really matter. The Hurricane Mark IVs, they actually strafed to death the Opel Blitz that was trying to fix up the Jagdpanzer. I was actually convinced at one point that Włochaty might be able to come back into this game, but with there being 2 minutes and 40 seconds until player finds victory, I doubt it will be the case, even with these half-tracks finding a lot of ground on this bottom side, because regardless of this happening, it's still a +1 in favour of player, and that's a problem. And the Panzer Grenadiers, they're not going to get into this town anytime soon because the Superzi straight up counter them. And on the bottom side of the town here, these can easily be cleaned up by the Sherman 5, for example. But the Sherman 5 does take a shot from the Tiger E, but here comes a Mosquito. That's going to bomb the Tiger, try and pin it down, doesn't quite manage to. Bofors, that's going to continue to force back this Panzergren. This poor Panzergren has come under so much fire, and those two men are still alive after all of it. Firefly 5C, though, finally kills off the Jagdpanzer IV, but look at all of these craters, which have been trying to kill the Panzergrens. That's just insane. Alright, Tiger E, still looking for the engagement onto the Sherman. Sherman's going to come around close range, maybe engage the Panzer Grenadiers here. Panzerwerfer on its way. Befehlpanzer 2 and the Flampanzer are now going to try and make a push, but straight into line of sight of the Sherman. Sherman, however, did get taken out by the Tiger, but the Staghound does get the track wheel destroyer onto the Flampanzer, which removes that strategy completely from Włochaty. Like, there could have been the Flampanzer push straight into this town. Loads of damage done to this infantry because there's only a couple of Piats, and we all know how bad Piats can be. Włochaty seems to have had enough. He's going hard onto the Superzi. Just going to sit in the flames and engage that. Very cool indeed. Now comes the Panzerwerfer after the Superzi go down. 1 minute and 20 seconds left. I very much appreciate Włochaty continuing to try and push into this game, especially when it looked doomed earlier on, and somehow he managed to bring it back to a point where I thought the top side would completely break through. But player managed to hold on. Really, really well played. Such a fantastic game, and this was just full of quality from both players. I think Włochaty was mainly put on the back foot by his own tactics early on, especially like relying so much on his infantry, when I think he could have like definitely commanded the top side of the map with like the Boy de Cromwell and the Boy de Firefly, especially on a map like Cheux. The Boy de Firefly in Phase A is just absolutely deadly. But the other thing is that the 12th SS, they only have 70 points per minute, and player just always had enough availability and enough men on the map to stop Włochaty from gaining enough ground. And that was just fantastic. 27 minutes and 39 seconds. Player is going to win the game with 2,500 points. Fantastic. Well done. 2,180 kills to 1,205 losses. And yeah, we've finally seen someone defeat Włochaty. It's not the first time we've seen it, but it doesn't happen very often. Over to the kills. Staghound certainly showed up. I mentioned how these would be fantastic at countering the 20mm autocannon units, but you can see here they also clean up all those pesky half-tracks. And in the end, it actually managed to kill that Panzer IV, which was really good, mainly thanks to the Hurricanes pinning that down. Strelzy is trading 3 for 1 there. That's a 15-point squad, killing 70 points worth of Panzer Grenadiers and the Panzergrenführer. Cromwell 6 did manage to take out the 250-10 half-track, didn't actually do too much. But again, another Staghound taking out 259, 232, 250-10, like 2 20mm autocannon vehicles, and so on. Hurricanes, they did really, really well. Player was very oppressive with them, regardless of the fact that Włochaty invested into 2 Wirbelwinds in Phase A. German 5, that managed to come in and clean things up nicely, and the Firefly countering the Jagdpanzer IV was great. So really well done by player. In terms of losses though, nice use of the 259 early on by Włochaty. I think it was funny to watch him almost defeat the first Pancerna with the 12th SS using an infantry strategy. That was what was most interesting to me about this game. And the use of the Sturm Pioneers. The Pioneers didn't do too well throughout this game, and the use of the Jagdpanzer before it got countered was really good. Like, it definitely gave the potential on that top side for a breakthrough, but just didn't happen quick enough and got countered by the Firefly in the end. Tiger, nice try, but didn't quite get the job done. Really fantastic game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, where we'll see whether or not Włochaty can bring one back against player. Goodbye.